Shalom, shalom. Man, in today's video, I want to talk to you about, this rhetoric of early Christians. And this is something that people that are studied in philosophy and all of this different replacement theology will try to do to warp the minds and lead people astray to get them to stay in the confines of the religion of Christianity. And today I'm going to reveal something to you because, man, I've heard, back before I was walking in truth, fearing the Most High Yah, keeping his commandments, man, I myself found victim to, a lot of these different teachings that Christian theologians and pastors were given. And they'll have you thinking that all the way from Genesis and Revelations that everybody in the book was a Christian. And that's flat out not the truth. And I'm going to reveal it to you today. Let's talk about it. Praise to the Most High Yah, shalom. Thank you for tuning in to another Righteous Spirit-filled episode. Today I'm back at it in them trenches, handling that kingdom business. Man, I'm going to show you today the etymology of the word Christian and the importance of etymology. Okay, so the word Christian is only found 2 times in the Bible. Okay, and this is a insertion. It breaks down when you get to translation, transliteration. That's where it breaks down, and the etymology will show you this. Okay, so Acts 26:28. Then Agrippa said unto Shaul, almost thou persuadeth me to be a Christian. Simon Kepher 4:16. Yet if any man suffer as a Christian, let him not be ashamed, but let him glorify God on his behalf. Okay. If we look at the word Christians, okay, we only see that at Acts chapter 11, verse 26. One time you see the words Christian. It says, and when he found them, he brought them unto Antioch, and it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people, and the disciples were called, listen to this, the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. So you have to be able to establish who was calling them Christians at Antioch. And this is what I'm going to show you. Man, I would highly encourage you go to, you Google or look up the Bible book of 1 Maccabees chapter 1. It will give you more context about what happened in Antioch during the Maccabean period. And, it is a credible source. It was once in the original 1611 King James Version of the Bible, but they removed it in 1884, 1885 to the 66 revised book version. And a lot of people don't know it. A lot of people are familiar with, well, they were first called Christians at Antioch. Well, that's going to lead you into King Antiochus. And King Antiochus was a heathen. King Antiochus was a Gentile by descent, but he was a heathen. He taught many people. You'll read in 1 Maccabees that King Antiochus was, telling his troops to put to death people that were not going to keep his new pagan religion. You can read this for yourself in the book of 1 Maccabees chapter 1. And he was teaching people to profane the Sabbath. So when we look at Christian, that's found 2 times in the Bible, when we look at the term Christians found in the Bible, okay, it's all going to take you back to Strong's number, Greek word 5546. So if we look at the Strong's definition, Christianos from G5547, a Christian, i.e., follower of Christ. Okay, so this is where etymology is important, because even in this definition, they didn't give you the etymology of the word Christ, because that word hasn't, when the Messiah was around, he wasn't referred to as Jesus, as Christos. He wasn't referred to as that. But the etymology is the only way you're going to get back to his original name. And people have no problem learning all these other languages, but when it comes to saying the name of the Messiah, they act like they can't say the name, and they're stuck on JC. Okay, so when we go to the Thayer's Greek lexicon, this is where it's cracked wide open. Okay, a Christian, a follower of Christ, which is Hamashiach. Okay, Acts chapter 11:26, Acts 26:28, 1 Peter 4:6, which I just told you. Listen to this. The name was first given to the worshipers of Yahshua by the Gentiles, but from the 2nd century. Think about that. So when you read, and the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch, it was the Gentiles, okay, descendants of Japheth, that gave them the doggone title. The followers of, Hamashiach gave them the title of Christians. The disciples, when we look, what has happened is, man, these Gentiles have stripped the Hebraic roots of the text, and instead of giving you the Hebraic name that's showing you the culture and the lineage, what do? They give you the Gentile name. For Shaul in Hebrew, they gave you Paul. And the list goes on when you start to look at these names. And this is how these Gentiles have shaped this religion around a character of the book, and it doesn't line up. It doesn't line up. So many things in the religion don't line up with what's in the book. But you have to look at, okay, the canonization of the Bible. Who was involved in that? Was it Israelites or was it Gentiles? And you start to realize that a lot of these theologians, philosophers of Gentile descent, Gentile lineage, Roman Greco culture, this is why they came up with so much stuff that's foreign from the book. This is why. This cracks it wide open. So just when people are trying to deceive you with, okay, when you got folk out there that will call Moses an early Christian. What? That's crazy. That's crazy. And I'm giving you the evidence right here. The name was first given to the worshipers of Yahshua by the Gentiles, but from the 2nd century. That name, Christians, 2nd century. Let's look at this. Okay. The 2nd century began after death 101 and continued through 200 AD. Okay. Now let's look at this. So when we look at this, man, everything from this point when these Gentiles, gave this title. This is the title the Gentiles gave. The 10 Commandments, the biblical feast days, the Torah, none of that stuff was given to Christians. You can go back and read the first 5 books of the Bible. The Torah, it's speak unto the children of Israel. Speak unto Israel. Tell the people of Israel. And this is why when you read in 1 Maccabees chapter 1, you'll realize that King Antiochus wanted to put to death the Israelites and wanted them to forsake their holy law in order to follow the pagan religion. People people get stuck on stupid when you put the stuff in front of them, you know? And it goes to show you, I did a video talking about, Christianity's roots in white supremacy. When you think about the concept of race, it wasn't my people that gave you that concept of race. It wasn't a melanated people that gave you the concept of race. Race is a concept that was instituted by a Gentile. And people are all butthurt and offended because I did that video showcasing some things, but this will outline it even further. These Gentiles, when you look at when it comes to in a world stance, they want to be supreme. This is why they gave you replacement theology. Christianity falls in a category of replacement theology, supersessionism. Okay, Christian teachers will tell you that Christianity is monotheistic, but I'll beg to differ. Wait a minute, it's actually polytheistic. Go look at your Christian observances and the deities that these observances that Christians, the Christians adopted, and these pagan observances have other deities behind it. It's idolatry. See, when that evidence is flat out in front of you, man, you can't run. And the book says, man, the wicked flee when no man pursues. But the fact of people trying to tell you that, okay, now these Gentiles started calling themselves Christian, but the Messiah didn't start no Christianity. The disciples didn't start no Christianity. Shaul didn't start no Christianity. Moses wasn't receiving the 10 commandments, the 10 davreams of the 10 words for Christians. The book said when it's talking about the Messiah, he says, I didn't return for the lost sheep of the house of Christians. No, it says I returned for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But this is what replacement theology has done. Superior sessionism. This is what they have done. And the average person is so sucked in and brainwashed that if you're following a lot of these wicked teachers, they're never going to show you this. You got to think, man, you got some people that's doing Bible study, don't even have a dictionary, don't even have a lexicon around, and they're just sitting around with somebody that you have esteemed to be knowledgeable of the word, and y'all are just reading instead of studying. And this person that you have esteemed to be knowledgeable of the word will then give you their opinion of what the text means. And a lot of the Christian commentary was written by non-commandment keepers. And you can research this stuff. You got to think, okay, Christianity, they teach concepts about hermeneutics, proper interpretation of the text. Go back and look up the origins of hermeneutics. That's idolatry. It's flat out idolatry. And the book tells you the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, is the spirit that gives understanding. Only one problem. A lot of these men didn't have it. So don't let nobody deceive you with this early Christian rhetoric. This is where it begins. Go back and read 1 Maccabees chapter 1. See for yourself. I didn't write 1 Maccabees, but we already know people would persecute the messenger. We know that. People will persecute him that, tells the truth. Closer to Y'all Ministries, kicking it gun, barrel, straight.